All right, welcome everybody to another Sunday Open Studio. I'm here today with Linda Abbott, coming from her home studio, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about her Kids Art Day in the Community project that she's working on. Welcome, Linda.
Hi, Anna Maria. It's nice to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's nice to see you again, Linda. How are you doing today?
Pretty good.
Good. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your project. I have your information sheet here, and I guess when you submitted, you were calling it From Green to Blue, a Biomorphic City. Could you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, certainly. The project is about imagining structures, commercial, residential, and industrial, as either organic or biomorphic, which is very similar shapes. So reimagining them and keep it fun and light, also throwing in some science fiction or fantasy elements. Yeah, and also to engage people of all ages in an analog method, just good old get your hands into the paint and onto the paper. And I know that other people are doing some really cool stuff digitally, but I'm much more into analog things these days and still doing a lot of growth as an artist, really doing hands-on stuff. And I think also the time is right for that because everyone's talking about reimagining the future, doing more to save our planet, and really worthy goals. And this is just kind of a way of, I think, raising awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the idea too that it's hopefully appealing to young people and the young at heart. People who still like to dream big, have big ideas, and pursue goals.
Oh, that sounds super. So this is a community project. How are people getting involved in this with you?
Well, hopefully they're going to Two Rivers Gallery and picking up these little paint kits with age-specific little drawings inside, and there's a little paintbrush and a little paint palette of watercolors, non-toxic for the younger kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll paint them according to the instructions that are provided. So we kind of want a similarity of the way colors are used so that everything kind of fits together and it becomes a cohesive mural and it looks good.
Right.
And those are provided in the instructions. And then once they're done, if they'd like to pop it back in the envelope it came in and bring it back to Two Rivers, that would be the drop-off point. Then the shapes will be cut out by volunteers and myself if needed, and then I'll be collaging them onto our mural, and then it will be on display at Two Rivers Gallery, just inside left in the new art room or newly renovated art room at the gallery.
They can probably see it in September sometime then, the completed mural, correct?
Yes.
Excellent. So I'm just thinking, you say that they're painting little buildings. What kinds of little buildings might they be painting? What kinds of things do they look like?
They are, as I mentioned, there'll be residential homes, there'll be business type buildings, and then also a few industrial things. And I did a lot of research. I love research, and I had a lot of fun with that too. So, for example, see if I can get this up to show you properly. This is one of the residential homes. It's a little anemone seashell.
Oh, wow.
And then there is a mobile home, one that's at rest and one that is moving. It's obviously based on a snail.
Mm-hmm.
And these two designs are probably more geared for younger kids, but that's not saying someone older can't do a nice job too. There's an airplane that's kind of designed on a hawk, and so it's got foldable wings and maneuverable tail, and then little inflatable as a safety measure, a little inflatable wings here and also at the tail in case something else goes wrong.
Yeah.
I understand it's a real thing, but they're working on that design.
Hmm.
There's this, I'm calling it residential. It's got 3 bubbles on the ceiling. It could be a rooftop garden. I haven't really developed that idea.
Could be.
But I do like to tell a little story with each one in my own mind. And so I'm hoping that people who are doing these will come up with their own stories. There's room for about 100 buildings on the mural. And but I think it will still look good if we only get back around 70 or so. We'll make it work.
How big is this mural going to be?
It's going to be 3 feet high by 6 feet long, and it will be in 3 big canvases put together to form a triptych.
Lovely. I'm super excited to see this.
right now it's time to get all the background, the mural itself done.
You started on that, but it's too big to show on screen, so people will have to wait for that until it's up in the gallery, I think, right?
Right. The smallest sample I did was when I submitted my proposal, it was little buildings kind of tacked onto this kind of a background.
Mm-hmm.
And so that gives you kind of a sneak peek. And I think you have something visual as well of this, but with the actual little structures I put on there.
I actually have a copy of that. Do you mind if I post it so that people can see how the buildings might fit into the landscape?
That would be really helpful. I think they'd appreciate that.
Okay. I will be sure to do that at the end of our video and just post it along with some of the other examples that I have. We actually painted some buildings as part of a team building project.
Awesome.
And, I'm just waiting for pictures of those to roll in as well so I can post examples to get people started. Yeah, well, I'm definitely excited to see it and I'm looking forward to seeing the finished project. So thanks, Linda, for joining us.
Thank you for taking time and asking me all these questions about this project.
So be sure to come down to the gallery, everybody, and pick up an envelope with a biomorphic building in it and some paint. Paint it up and send it back, and perhaps you'll see your building in Linda's mural.
Well, if it gets a little too crowded, or if a certain structure might not fit in exactly with the mural, I think I'm still going to put magnets on the back, and we'll of those shapes, and we'll put them up nearby on the magnetic wall.
So on or around the mural is what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
For those of you viewing this video after August 2020, or those who live out of town and can't make it to the gallery, experiment with drawing your own biomorphic buildings. Continue watching the video to hear about Linda's definition of biomorphic buildings and her inspiration for this project. If you were to define the term biomorphic structure, what does that mean to you?
Well, outside of this project, which I explained is fact and fantasy, so it's different. Biomorphism is learning from nature to take the wisdom and the proven track record of systems that nature, the intelligence of nature, whatever, has already designed, and applying it to building structures, how they function. But there's also a philosophy here that's motivating all this. It's about, I think it's humanitarian, because it's definitely concerned with the well-being of our planet and the well-being of the people who will be inhabiting or using these buildings, and also it should have a certain amount of aesthetic appeal, using materials, combining old materials like brick, stone, wood, but also with newly engineered materials that are beneficial, but hopefully are using resources in a much wiser way than in the past. Originally, I had the idea when I was a member of the artist co-op, and one of our members was talking about having a bunch of us artists come to her place sometime in her garden, and we were going to pound vegetables and flowers onto fabric and make, I don't know, beautiful messes. But I never got around to doing that, but somehow that triggered an idea of doing something organic, and I never actually asked the fellow members there, hey, do you want to try this? But it was on my mind, and that was to have a village with organic looking things. You know, think little houses look like mushrooms. I don't know what it was, but then about a year and a half later, I was taking a graphic design course, and I designed well, almost weekly. Yeah, pretty much weekly, we had to look at different architects and do a little write-up and stand in front of the class and talk about it. And at one point, I was doing one on Frank Gehry, who has fantastical buildings. And this was my Frank Gehry building here. And I took out my little drawings that I had done up, that I was thinking earlier of inviting the artist co-op members to participate and help me do something group-wise. And I put them onto a little watercolor painting. And so that just kind of, and that was part of my submission for that class, but that's where that idea sat for the last few years. The interesting thing here is that these biomorphic or organic type buildings actually make Frank Gehry's building not look so crazy.
Mm-hmm. They fit in with the theme of the other buildings.
Right, and at that time, while I was doing this, I was I had come across an architect who was working with the concept of biomorphic structures within buildings to regulate heating and cooling systems, recycling water use, all kinds of interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it all kind of tied in together. And then it says just now, it seems this is a good time to be doing this group project